telling me that he didn't think that there had been enough of a discussion of what if Israel did launch a strike against Iran's nuclear facilities and things went wrong. And one of the issues he raised was the idea that Iran obviously borders Afghanistan and has stayed pretty much out of Afghanistan in terms of compared to some of the things that it's done in Iraq, for instance, in terms of arming the insurgents in Iraq. It has not done so in Afghanistan. And the official, the expert rather, expressed concern that if things went wrong, then it would be possible that Iran might start helping to attack or at least arm insurgents in Afghanistan and try to kill American soldiers. Just in light of publicly discussing the things that could go wrong in such a strike, is that a concern being discussed here at the White House?
Well, I would say two things about that. First, our approach to this has been to galvanize and mobilize the international community, to make it clear that Iranian behavior is the issue, to pressure and sanction Iran for its failure to live up to its international obligations, and to ratchet up that pressure and increase the sanctions on Iran to the point where we hope Iran will change its behavior. We believe that there is time and space to continue to pursue that approach, even as we refuse and make clear that we do not take any option off the table in our effort to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. It is certainly the case, and I think we have been clear about this, that any military action in that region threatens greater instability in the region, threatens, as you point out, because Iran borders both Afghanistan and Iraq. We have civilian personnel in Iraq. We have military personnel as well as civilians in Afghanistan. There are all sorts of potential consequences to more military activity in that region and in Iran specifically. But our approach right now is to continue to pursue the diplomatic path that we've taken, combined with very aggressive sanctions. We continue to ratchet up the pressure on Tehran. And I think it's important to note that while Tehran does not and has not lived up to its international obligations, that it does not do the things it needs to do to demonstrate that it does not have nuclear weapons ambitions, we do have visibility into their programs, and Iran has not broken out and started to pursue a weapon. So there is time and space to continue to pursue the policy that we have been pursuing since the President took office. Let me move it. Yes.
Jay, on the deal with North Korea, is it fair to characterize this as a continuation of the arrangement that was being worked on before the death of Kim Jong-il?
Well, I would say that there had been some progress or initial progress towards in this direction prior to the change of leadership, but it is certainly the case that in a relatively short period after the change of leadership that the DPRK has made these agreements, and that is certainly notable. But in general, like I said, we approach this with the expectation of continuity in behavior, but note that there has been this positive step.
And the officials that sort of gave a background call on this were describing that they thought that the North Koreans had to sort of check back with the leadership before the agreement. Was something similar done with the president? Did he have to make a phone call and sign off on this, or were instructions given prior to the trip?
Well, I don't have specific readouts. I mean, the president is fully briefed on these kinds of significant discussions both before and after, but I don't have a specific modality to describe to you in terms of how our interlocutors are given their marching orders and how they're executed. Yes, Mark.
Yeah, Jake, the NGO agreement under which the Americans are now free to leave, I mean, I realize there's some relief that they are, but has this incident done lasting damage here? I mean, Hillary Clinton got, you know, lawmaker after lawmaker today was asking her about, do we really continue to give aid to folks when they're doing this? What do you think?
Well, I'll make 2 points about that. One, I don't have any specific information about the reports that you mentioned with regards to the Americans in Egypt. I would note that we have worked this issue very hard with our Egyptian counterparts. It has been a priority of the President to resolve this. And we have made clear throughout the process, Secretary of State Clinton, Secretary of Defense Panetta, and others, that we consider it a very serious matter, and that it had the potential of affecting our relationship. But I don't want to get too far ahead of these reports until we have more details about them. Nora?
You just said that we do not believe that Iran has broken out to pursue a weapon. Is that why the administration is reluctant to outline when it may use a military option?
Well, no. I think that we've made very clear that we do not take any option off the table as we pursue a policy designed to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. We believe that the policy that we've been pursuing, unifying the international community and pressuring and isolating Tehran, creates the best opportunity for ensuring that Iran does not acquire a nuclear weapon. It is the best option. And because there is time and space still to allow that option to work, we are continuing to pursue it. But speculation or about what we would do if this were to happen and what would trigger what response is not something I would do here from the podium, and it's not productive to the success of our policy.
To clarify, is U.S. policy to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon or to prevent it from acquiring nuclear weapons capability?
Well, I think I've been clear that it's that we are determined to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. We obviously monitor through IAEA inspectors their nuclear programs, and there is no question that Iran has not lived up to its international obligations with regards to uranium enrichment and their level of cooperation with the IAEA. So the fact that we do have inspectors who are able to provide visibility into their programs does not mean that they have been entirely cooperative, because they have not. And it is Iran's refusal to behave in accordance with their international obligations to take the necessary steps to assure the international community that they do not have the intention of developing a nuclear weapons program and developing nuclear weapons, that they are subject to these broad and increasing sanctions by the United States and the entire international community. And that pressure will continue, and it has had an effect on both the economy and on the political leadership.
Can you speak to some of the reports in the Israeli papers that Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to pressure President Obama to be more specific about these quote-unquote all options on the table? Will the president be more specific?
The president is very specific and direct in his many conversations with the Prime Minister of Israel, and I'm sure that will be the case when they meet again next week. Our approach is very clear, and I don't, I do not expect that either I or anyone else will engage in speculation about how we might react should something or the other happen in the future with regards to Iran's program. So I think you'll hear from us a very consistent message, and I fully expect that the President's conversations with Prime Minister Netanyahu will continue to be as detailed and candid as they always have been.
And if Israel attacks Iran and Iran retaliates, will we defend Israel?
That's a couple of ifs down the road. What I can say is that we have an unshakable commitment to Israel's security. It's a commitment that's demonstrated by the unprecedented level of military-to-military and intelligence-to-intelligence service cooperation that we've established with Israel, a fact that has been testified to not just by Obama administration officials, but by Israeli government officials, including the Prime Minister and the Defense Minister. And that level of cooperation will continue. We are absolutely committed to Israel's security.
Sorry, just one more on gas prices. What's the current administration thinking on whether to tap the reserves?
Should I tell you?
Is it under
That was a
consideration?
joke, and I would simply say that I have nothing to say about the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. We obviously look at all the issues and options when we approach energy policy, but I have no comment on any questions about the so-called SPRO. Ed?
Jay, following on gas prices, does the White House agree with Secretary Chu's testimony on the Hill yesterday that the overall goal of the President's energy policy is not to lower gas prices?
I'm not aware of that statement or the characterization that you give it. I think the President has made clear. I think the President has made clear that the strategy that he has embarked upon is to enhance American energy independence by pursuing an all-of-the-above approach that includes increasing domestic oil and gas production, increasing our development of and production of renewable energy sources, and as well as pursuing development of nuclear capacity. The point that the President has made, and perhaps this is the point that the Secretary was making that you're citing, is that we are living in a world where there is a global oil market, and that price is affected by a number of factors that are not necessarily within the control of policymakers in Washington, and they include unrest in parts of the world, and they include economic growth in parts of the world. It is a fact that the pace of growth in some of the emerging countries of the world, emerging economies of the world, creates a vastly increased demand for fossil fuels, growth in China, growth in India, growth in Brazil and elsewhere, and that creates more demand, and that has an impact on oil prices. Our economic growth, which I should note has been continuing now for a number of quarters and has resulted in the creation of 3.7 million private sector jobs, also creates greater demand for oil and gas. So the point is the President is not focused on a policy and is not making promises to the American people that if I do this, you will be paying a certain price at the pump. Right. Because he is not insulting the American people's intelligence. He is simply saying that his commitment is to pursue a policy that enhances American energy security and enhances American energy independence, and that the only way we can insulate ourselves in the future from the kind of shocks caused by fluctuating oil prices on the global market is to do just that. To take an approach that has, by the way, resulted in a reduction already since he's been president in our imports of foreign oil.
But is it reasonable also to expect that while you're working on that long-term strategy, that the President is also working in the short term to try to find a way to lower gas prices for people who are experiencing gas?
There is no question. We look at every option and review all of the aspects of every option that might be available. But it is, again, a false promise to make by any politician that they have a three-point plan, that a three-point plan exists that can guarantee a certain price for unleaded gasoline at your local Exxon or Sunoco or Chevron or station. It's just not, it's not credible, and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
So is the overall message then that as you're working on this long-term strategy, the price of gas may just keep going up and up because we can't lie to you that it's going to go down. We don't have a three-point plan. It's just going to keep going up.
Well, the fact of the matter is prices in global markets go up and they go down. So the focus that you need to have is on a sustainable policy that enhances American energy security, enhances American